Victor,
Yes.
welcome to Cure.
Thank you.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you here. We have with us Dr. Victor Dzau. He is the president of the National Academy of Medicine, and with so many different accomplishments under his name, we're so happy to host him here. So we just went on a tour.
Yes.
What did you think of Cure?
Oh, it's quite amazing. First of all, I think the vision is really what's exciting, right? Getting great ideas, trying to translate it and implement into real cures, if you will, from bench research. I saw a gene therapy company, an early stage company, to, of course, thinking about value-based care and digital technology.
Yes.
I think if you think about cure, you're going to need all these technology platforms to come together to make a big difference. So it's a great vision.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, you sit on the high perch of the National Academy of Medicine, and then having been Chancellor of Duke and then the Duke Health System and so many other things you've done,
You're too
Harvard
kind.
Medical School. I mean, you've driven so many big initiatives and, yourself discovering so many great, phenomenal, life-saving therapies. Where do you see the future for science going, and what role does artificial intelligence or AI have to play in it?
Yeah. Well, the future clearly is to enable great discovery research and then to think along the lines of how they can impact human. So to me, the entire platform, portfolio of possibilities, not just one or two, right? But there's no question that we still need biomedical research. But I think increasingly data, digital area platforms are so important. Even if you think about, you talk about AI. AI, of course, we know about what it can do in terms of data algorithms, clinical decision-making, and drug discovery. But if you look at the other day, I was just at a meeting when look at using AI to look at protein folding and all the permutation possibility. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Wow.
It's going to transform health and medicine.
Phenomenal. I mean, and you could make designer drugs that could treat
That's right.
specific
That's right.
conditions,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And, you actually just announced or launched, and you're going to talk today about the 100-day mission. Why is that important, and what is the 100-day mission?
Yeah, so we've learned from pandemic COVID-19 how speed is so important. Even though we had great science, like quick diagnostic testing and a year to vaccine,
Yes.
they're still not fast enough.
Yeah.
And what we all learn is that the early 100 days makes a huge difference in control, slowing it down, and saving lives.
Yes.
Hence the idea to set a high bar to say 300 days not enough.
Yes.
You got to get everything ready, diagnostic, therapeutics, or vaccine within 100 days. That's the idea. Now, it's not my idea. It is G7, UK presidency that put this forward, because I'm very happy to be involved with it and chair the science technology expert group to look at how do we actually help people implement this? How do you track the progress? And how do you actually really enable this to happen for equitable reasons?
Yes, absolutely. And, the question is not when something, if something's going to happen again, a pandemic, the real thing that we have to be prepared for when it happens, because it is going to happen.
Yeah.
That's
So
the one
you're
thing
spot
that's
on.
sure, right?
You're spot on, because most of what 100-day mission simply means is that how do we get ready for it?
Yes.
Making sure that you have the prototype pathogens, the prototype therapeutics for specific groups of pathogens, diagnostic, etc., so that when you have an outbreak, you can kind of flip it and get ready. Pre-agreement of how to do rules, how to do clinical trials, harmonization of regulation, manufacturing, all that stuff.
Yes. So get ready before and not,
Exactly.
not in crisis mode during. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Dr. Dzau. Thank you for being here at Cure, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Increased interaction between humans, animals, and the environment due to climate change, conflict, and globalization means that pandemics are becoming inevitable. From any corner of our world at any moment, another devastating pandemic could emerge, taking millions of lives and leaving the world grappling with dire consequences.
11 million people, no travel in or out.
Government's racing to contain the biggest outbreak of the
The
virus.
first confirmed case in New York City.
Currently, we stand as yet unprepared for the next outbreak, epidemic, or pandemic. And recent lessons may soon be forgotten as the world defaults to a cycle of panic and neglect. But we can change this. Presenting the 100 Days Mission for Pandemic Preparedness. A mission to ensure safe, effective, affordable diagnostic tests, treatments, and vaccines are ready within the first 100 days of a pandemic being declared. But it's not just about speed for speed's sake. It's about filling the research and development gaps, making the exceptional collaboration we saw during COVID-19 routine, and agreeing new rules of the road for pandemics. It's about equity, ensuring everyone, everywhere, gets rapid access to life-saving tools. The stakes? Changing the course of a pandemic, reducing timelines to combat a deadly threat.
The only way we will defeat this outbreak is for all countries to work together in a spirit of solidarity and cooperation. We're all in this together, and we can only stop it together.
By connecting researchers, funders, regulators, and manufacturers, we can create an ecosystem for success, an end-to-end approach, moving seamlessly along the chain from research to delivery, a coordinated approach across government, industry, international organizations, civil society, and academia, like the world has never seen. From co-designing solutions with communities to diversifying manufacturing and product administration. This mission is a global endeavor. But this mission isn't without its challenges: political will, financing, accountability, maintaining the highest safety standards. In our interconnected world, to fend off the next global pandemic, we need a united plan. We need ambitious global action. Because it's not if, but when. The 100 Days Mission for Pandemic Preparedness.
Here with me today is Dr. Rick Bright. He is the former director of BARDA and also the former CEO of the Rockefeller Pandemic Preparedness Institute. And we're lucky to have him here at Cure as a strategic advisor to us. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Seema. How are you? It's
Good.
great to be back in New York and back at Cure.
I know the UN Science Summit, to host it here has just been incredible, right? And we're not even done with it yet.
It has been every day has been packed full of science. Every day has been packed full of collaboration and connections and great solutions for all of the various sustainable development goals of the UN. It's amazing.
Amazing. And Dr. Victor Dzau was here, and we talked about the 100-day mission. What is that?
Well, we all know in the last pandemic, and we're still on the fringes of that, everything took too much time. You know, it took too much time.
We were fast, though.
We were faster than probably we had ever been in the past, but still too many people died.
Yeah.
Too many people got infected. Our tools that we made available just didn't reach the world as quickly as they needed to. So we need to do everything possible to condense that timeline. And our 100-day mission is about looking at all the various factors to detect and get in front of and prevent a crisis before it happens, but if it does, also to respond quickly and condense that within 100 days of it being declared an emergency.
Is that even possible? I mean, it took us a year, and we thought we were super fast. It was Operation Warp Speed, right? Quote unquote. It took a year, and we got our vaccines and got it under control somewhat. Possible to bring it to 100 days? You think that's possible?
Well, Seema, it was within a year we got those vaccines in the United States.
Yes.
And as you know, and around the world, they're still waiting for them in some places. So, yeah, we condensed a year for some places, but we have 3 years we have to condense. And it is possible. I mean, because of the painstaking process that we've gone through, we've identified a lot of those pressure points. We know, first of all, where collaboration is important, where data sharing are important. And we also know that you can't wait till a crisis hits to respond to a crisis. So there's so much we have to do before day zero
Yeah.
and have in place. And we like to say in the 100-day mission that we have to make the exceptional routine. And that means make sure that we're practicing vaccine uptake and administration and diagnostic and testing and data sharing collaboration. We have the clinical trial infrastructures, all of that in place. And there are powerful partners that we have in the 100-day mission, such as CEPI in the vaccine development program. We have Ready and Intrepid in drug development, and we have FIND as a global diagnostic leader. And they're all playing their part to connect the world with those tools and that information, so together we can globally respond within 100 days.
And it's not an if, right? It's when it happens again, because there is no question it's going to happen again. And you, speaking of FIND, you're on the board of FIND and you're passionate about diagnostics. Why is it so important that as part of the whole equation?
I think, and I know,
Yeah.
that if you can't see something, you can't stop it.
Yeah.
And diagnostics are the eyes on the ground and the ears in the field. And it is the information that we get from a test that tells an individual when they're sick. And when an individual is empowered with that information, they could make responsible decisions on how to reduce the likelihood of infecting someone else. Their healthcare provider can make decisions on how to treat them as fast as possible. And the most effective drugs are the ones we get on board earliest.
Yes.
If we wait too long, you don't have a test.
Yep.
And so I think diagnostics are the key to not just pandemic detection and response, but diagnostics are key to every disease we face and every medical situation we face in the world in daily life.
And the way we do diagnostics has changed a little bit, and a lot, I would say, since the time of COVID. We all have test kits at home. So if we feel the sniffles coming on, a headache, whatever, sore throat, we just go to our closet, take the thing out, and we know whether we're positive or not, right? Do you foresee a time when that kind of thing will become routine for all of the diseases?
I'm excited about innovation, you know that. And I'm excited about artificial intelligence and AI and how we can use that information to transform our diagnostics.
Yeah.
I mean, what we learned most acutely in the COVID pandemic was testing matters. And we also learned what it felt like to not have a test when you needed it. And what we forget sometimes is before the pandemic, there are 4 billion of the world's poorest people who didn't have diagnostics for TB and malaria and HIV and other things. So with the new technology, with the power of computing now, we can actually transform the way diagnostic tests are run. We need to reduce the cost.
Yeah.
Many of us can afford to have a $12, a $25, an $80 test in our medicine cabinet, but that is not practical globally. But the technologies now can reduce that cost significantly, so we can move those tests in more places in the world, and we can produce them in more places in the world. And we also have to think about, do we need to run a test for everything?
Yeah.
And so it's very expensive to run a test for yourself for influenza and throw that away and test yourself for COVID and test yourself for RSV or HIV, whatever it might be. So the technologies for tests are driving to these low-cost molecular multiplex tests that are under $5 or $10, and that can change the paradigm of testing from the question of do I have influenza or do I have COVID to
What do I have?
what do I have?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And then that changes healthcare around the world completely.
Wow, I can't wait to see that kind of a day when if you have the sniffles, you're not feeling well, you don't have to guess what it is or have a test just for what that particular thing you think it is, but you would test it and it would tell you what you have, and then you can get treated for it. So how far away do you think we are from that day?
It depends on the funding.
Yeah.
Depends on partnerships. It depends on the collaboration. So many of these innovative ideas are in the labs of very small biotech companies, or even very small entrepreneur groups that might just be 2 to 5 people.
Yes.
And so one of the things we have to do is make sure that those discoveries see the light of day, that they find the right partnerships, the right funding becomes available from philanthropic organizations, from governments, from private capital investment, etc., to support and accelerate those technologies and make sure that when they're supported and advanced, that they keep the mind on equity and global access, that we don't make these incredible new tests something of luxury that only high-income countries can afford. But when we develop them, that we keep in mind the importance of global access and equity.
That is a wonderful way to end this conversation, because importance of, global reach, equity and inclusion and access are just as important as the breakthroughs.
They're critical.
Yes. And that's what CURE is all about.
Yes, that's why I'm happy to be here at CURE. CURE is actually bringing together the ecosystem of the entrepreneurs, the academia, and the private sector, and the governments, and the philanthropic organizations. This is one place in the heart of New York City that this magic can happen.
Yes. And magic we make happen here every single day of the week. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday Talks.